Welcome back to CanHammer, everybody. Today's tactics episode's dealing with Custodes bikes. Welcome back to CanHammer, everybody, your source for 40k from the Great White North. Today's tactics episode is on the humble Custodes biker. More specifically, how to deal with them. So, if you play against the Custodes list, you will be playing one of two archetypes. One is foot Custodes, which is mostly custodian guardians, and maybe some bikers in there. And the other popular archetype these days, and probably the more competitive archetype, is Custodes biker spam, where you'll be facing at least 15 to 20 Custodes bikers. These guys are fairly tough. They shoot a lot because they all have hurricane bolters, and they hit decently hard in combat because, like all Custodes, they have spears and they hit on twos and they often get rerolls, and so there's a number of good stratagems, so they can cause a lot of lists problems. Of course, there are hard counters to these guys, which we will talk about some, but here's just some general tips on how to deal with Custodes bikers. First of all, they are a little bit less threatening now with the fly keyword nerf in the combat phase, so no longer can they charge over screen units on the charge. So use that to your advantage. A line of screening models will now block jet bikes from charging over them, will stop them from piling in and consolidating over models, so use that to your advantage. Keep in mind that the bases are quite narrow and that don't leave any gaps through which the biker could pass like this. Okay, so these oval bases can be used to their advantage in order to take up more space or also to pass in narrow gaps. So keep that in mind when you're trying to screen bikers. The other thing that the fly keyword nerf helps to limit is stooping dive. So stooping dive is the 3 CP stratagem by which the bikers can charge something in your charge phase and get to go first, and that can sometimes be a game-winning or back-breaking move. Now, the fly keyword nerf in the charge phase does affect the stooping dive's ability to jump over your units or jump over other Custodes units in order to get into the combat. So the stooping dive has received a bit of a nerf recently, but you have to keep stooping dive in mind. A good player will position their Custodes units such that it is easy for one unit to stooping dive in another. Keep that in mind also when you're charging them, that if you tag a Custodes unit in your charge phase, stooping dive happens at the end of the charge phase, and they can't do it if they've been tagged in combat. So that's another way of stopping the stooping dive, is to send something that won't die in Overwatch, like a rhino or a vehicle or a bloat drone or something like that, to engage another Custodes unit so that there will be no stooping dive. So that's how you avoid the stooping dive and account for the stooping dive, and the game FAQ does help you with that. Second thing, how to kill Custodes. Pretty straightforward. So they have 2 up armor, 4 up invuln, so hitting them with -3, -4 is not super efficient. Also, being 4 wounds, hitting them with 3 wounds and hitting them with 3 damage and 2 damage weapons is basically the same. D6 tends not to be that efficient. You may get lucky and kill 1, but you have less than half chance of killing one with the D6, and D3 is noticeably unreliable, as Custodes players will tell you, because all their stuff is D3. The best thing to hit them with is volume of shots of -1, or if you have it, -2 shooting. -2 shooting screws Custodes. So basically it puts them on their invuln and a 50-50 chance of taking damage. -1, even 3 ups is pretty good, but 3 ups is not 2 ups. Any kind of mass -1 or -2 shooting will take care of Custodes. Oblits, as maligned as obliterators are, I hate obliterators because they're always wounding on 3s, and they will have at least -1, if not -2. -3 is a bonus, and usually you're aiming, if the player is good, they're going to use rerolls to try and get to at least 2 damage, which is the most efficient way of killing Custodes. Obliterators are very good. Helverins, putting you down to the 3-up save, but doing 3 damage a hit. Still a little bit inefficient because 3 damage, again, no better than 2 damage against 4 wound bikers, but still that 3 damage is pretty sweet. Ravagers, all those kind of things, just with the mass, -1, -2 AP shooting. Same with combat. If you put lots of -1, -2 AP combat hits on these guys, it'll have the same effect. Speaking of combat, if you want to take care of these guys, if you have the choice, it is always better to charge them than to get charged. On the charge, they're a lot stronger because they reroll all wounds. So even against things where they're hitting on wounding on 5s, a full wound rerolls is pretty strong. So at all times, if you can dictate the terms, charge them and not get charged. If you charge them, they will get no rerolls. Of course, they're flying, they can fly out and shoot you, but they could have done that anyway. You limit their effectiveness by not letting them charge you. And that also stops stooping dive, as we already mentioned. The final tip I can give you for dealing with these guys, of course, is psychic powers and mortal wounds. So Custodes Kryptonite is mortal wounds and psychic powers. And so any psychic powers that do mortal wounds can be devastating. That time when Magnus did 10 mortal wounds smite on me, that was very bad. Infernal Gateway, even just successive smites can take care of bikes fairly easily with no reply or response. The 6-up mortal wound save is not going to save a lot of Custodes. So mortal wounds and psychic powers, another good way of taking care of Custodes bikes. So that's it. That's my quick tips on how to defeat Custodes bikers. Seems a little bit self-eliminating, but you know, that's what it's about. If you want to learn about tactics for any particular models or units, please list them in the comments below. Otherwise, subscribe to the channel and consider supporting us on Patreon. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.